You know, there's lots of things about Christmas or this festive season that gives us permission to escape, to get away from things. And of course, there's the last-minute Christmas rush and some weird family idiosyncrasies that some of us have to put up with from time to time as we go through Christmas. There's a little bit of stress through Christmas. But most of all, this few short days is really an escape. It's a few days away from the monotonous grind of our working year. It's a respite from the never-ending deadlines of alarm clocks and meetings and, you know, living a productive life. It's a bit of a relief valve of having to perform for people that we work with or work for. It's an escape. And so we drive to Christmas lights and with bulging blow-up Santas and little plastic nativity scenes. And they're the same lights that we went to last year, and we're probably going to go to the same set of lights next year. It's Christmas. It's just that bit of an escape. Most of us decorate our homes. Some throw a bit of tinsel over a plant. Others start decorating their Christmas trees in November. Can you believe it? Next thing they'll be, hot cross buns that were coming out in January. And that same Christmas debate will be had again and again and again. It's Christmas. Some of us will have family over and you'll love it. Others of us couldn't think of anything worse. It's Christmas. My daughter Abby comes home a couple of weeks ago with snow. All you got to do is add water. And boom, there it was. I love it. I love that kind of snow. Some people can't stand it. But it's Christmas. It's that escape. It's the time of year when we get to gather around the kind of small stuff and escape the sapping routines of a day in, day out life. And just be with family and friends and eat good food and drink nice wine and enjoy the respite. Now, I don't want to rob us of that escape tonight by what I'm about to say. I don't want to put a dampener on the awesomeness of what is going to happen over this next few days of sharing gifts and eating really good food and those kind of things. But one of the things that we can't escape from even in these few short days, which is at the heart of the Christ message that sits at the middle of this time, and it's this, that our world is in deep, deep pain. A world where hunger still grips something like 95% of the world tonight. When 95% of the world's wealth sits with only 5% of the world, you're in that 5% even if you get Centrelink. We're seeing families ravaged tonight by domestic violence. Lives lost on our streets through gun violence. Lives torn apart by ice and drugs and drunken violence. Nations and innocent people being bloodied by religious violence. Young boys and girls being trafficked into sexual violence. And countries destabilised by political violence. We're living in a violent world tonight. And sitting in the middle of this pain is a baby. He's our Chrissy baby. We love our Chrissy baby. He's not real. I mean, not from our own personal experiences of what it means to have a baby. He's our escape Chrissy baby. He just kind of lies there all shiny and glowy and halo-y and cute and no crying he makes. His meaning is not much more than symbolic of something. Our Chrissy baby is a nice idea for the kids, part of our season's decorations, a fleeting wish for a peaceful world, a benign metaphor for those so inclined. Is Jesus our Chrissy baby? He's lovely. Just let me tell you just one thing. Just one thing. There's many things that I could tell you tonight about this Chrissy baby. Just let me tell you just one thing. He's our King. He's a King. Tonight we celebrate the birth of a king whose kingdom we can't really see because his reign is in the hearts of people. We don't really get kings and queens in our culture. For us, they're fairly irrelevant figureheads that open buildings and cut ribbons and get their names on plaques. But that's not what kings do. And that's not who they are. All power and all authority and all dominion and all wealth sit with real kings. There's no vote. There's no, I want my say. There's no democracy, not with a real king. Well, our Chrissy baby, well, he's that. He's our king. And hundreds of years before our lovely Chrissy baby was born, Isaiah, a prophet of God, a God who speaks God's words, foretold the future of a coming king who would reign forever and ever and ever. And he says this, "For to us a child is born, Jesus. To us a son is given, the Son of Man, the Son of God, Jesus. And the government, the rule of this world, will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." He's a king. He's our king. At the other end of Jesus' life, Pontius Pilate is in the process of sending Jesus to the cross. And he touts, "So you are a king, are you?" And Jesus says, "It is as you say, for that is why I was born." He's a king. Jesus is our king. But here's the thing. It's not like the other kings. He won't use his power to hoard everything to himself. He won't use power for personal gain. He won't grasp after authority to maintain position and title. He'll never command his followers to tickle his ego, ever. This king is different. His rule is love. His rule is kindness. His rule is justice. His rule is healing. His rule is fairness. The rule of this king's kingdom is sacrifice, for that is what real love is. Sacrifice. Sacrificing life for the benefit of others. That's what true love is. That's the rule of his kingdom. For God so loved this world, sacrificed love, so that he gave, that he sacrificed himself, his own son, so that anyone would believe in, not just with intellectual assent, but with all of life believe, that anyone would believe in him, he will not perish, but have everlasting life. And I tell you this, the world tonight will not be fed. Families will not survive. Religion will not be silenced. Broken lives will not be healed. Violated young girls and boys will not get rescued. Politics will have no real foundation without the King of Love influencing it all. That's what Christmas is all about. A baby born to be a king forever. And he will use his resources and his power and his authority and his wealth and ultimately his own life to give, not to take. He's our king. And I tell you this, there's coming a day, and a coming a day soon, when the king will return and he will make this world right. And he will make this world good. And he will heal this world. And he will patch this world up. And I can guarantee you this. He will not come as a cutesy, shiny, halo-y, glowy little Chrissy baby. He's coming as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I love Jesus. I love him with all of my heart. He's my Saviour. He's my friend. Genuinely, I can say that before you. Jesus is my friend. He's also my King.
Oh, of course I was scared. I mean, I was really scared. You know, I'd never been a mum before. I'd never even thought about having a baby. Who was at my age? Gosh, I remember I was so overwhelmed. You know, I just stood there. You know, I looked blank in his face and I couldn't move. My arms, they felt like lead, and you know, I was speechless. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to say. I was frozen. Silent. Anyway, when the messenger left, I remember I was filled with this sense of awe. You know, this sense of love, this sense of worship. No, that's exactly it. I was overcome, washed in worship, because here I was, right? I'm this girl who just got told she is going to be the mother to the Son of God. A king forever is what he said. Now, you tell me, would you not be filled with worship? You know, I had always loved God. He'd been my king, and now I was gonna be his mom. Not that it changed my circumstance or anything. Actually, that's one thing I always wondered. You know, I always thought to myself, you know, why would God choose the politically disconnected, the severely poor, living in the most insignificant back blocks of the most powerful city in the world, that he would come to us? He'd come to me. I don't know, it always just blew my mind. Anyway, I found out really quickly what it's like to be a pregnant, unmarried teenager living in a small village. It's lonely being different. Really, really lonely. People just can't help but be mean. You know, without any knowledge or insight, they furrow their brows, they coagulate in crusty clumps of self-righteousness, and they point. You know, they point with their fingers, and they point with their eyes, and they point with their hearts, and they point with cynicism at things that they don't even understand. Lonely being different. Really lonely. But do you know what the deepest regret of it all is? It's that these people, they didn't even know who my baby was. And that's the greatest loss. And I'm not just saying that because I held him in my arms first. No, he genuinely is the most precious gift. But I guess any mother would say the same, hey? Thank God for Joseph. Like, I really thank God. Joseph is a good man. He is a loving man. He is a courageous man, and he is a loyal man. And do you know what the craziest bit of it all is? It's that Joseph's path, it was no less tough than mine, but he stood by me. You know, he stood by me through the thick, through the thin, and through the shame. Joseph was by my side. I thank God for Joseph. Look, I still didn't know how things were going to turn out. I mean, I had no idea. Actually, I remember I used to wake up every morning and I'd sit up and I'd say, God, why me? Why me? You know, I'm no one important. I'm not special. You know, I screw up. You know, I've mucked up my life the exact same way you have, yet God chose me. I don't know. It takes my breath away. So my confusion, my loneliness, the people in my village, well, you know, they were all really scary things, but what really sent shivers of fear through my soul was Herod. You know, Herod is a nasty man. You know, he's a horrible human. His desperate ego mixed with his, I don't know, it caused me to shudder. It caused everyone to shake, because you see, that man knew who my baby was. He knew he was the king. You know, the king of love, the king of acceptance, the king of joy and belonging to everyone. Oh, that man knew who my baby was. We were forced to flee Egypt. You know, no money, no family, no belonging, no language. We had nothing. And I didn't think we'd be able to do it. But I remember that day. I remember it so clearly. It's like the sky went black. That horrible man, that poor excuse for a king. He murdered every baby under the age of 2, just hoping that my Jesus was one of them. But he failed. We were so lonely in Egypt. But we were safe. And somehow I thank God for that distressing but saving moment. That first year for us was really tough. I watched time after time after time after time as people tried to take my son's life. And I'll never forget the day that they finally did. All I can say is this. You know, I am his mom. But I let him become my king.